What if the products you bought last month are suddenly legal again, but nobody told you? The Supreme Court ruling sent shockwaves through America's regulatory system. But what happened next will blow your mind. Major corporations are quietly reversing decades of restrictions. State legislatures are in total meltdown, and the items returning to shelves are more controversial than you could imagine. But there's a catch that could reverse everything overnight. Before we expose what's really happening, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this information is being actively suppressed by regulatory agencies. What you're about to discover changes everything you thought you knew about consumer freedom. Corporate revenge lawsuits. Within days of the Supreme Court decision, major manufacturers launched coordinated legal offensives that caught states completely unprepared. Procter & Gamble filed lawsuits in 17 states, seeking $8.3 billion in damages for lost revenue from banned phosphate detergents between 2007 and 2024. General Electric is pursuing $6.7 billion from California alone for the forced phase-out of incandescent bulbs, arguing the state violated their property rights and destroyed existing inventory worth hundreds of millions. Whirlpool Corporation joined forces with 4 other appliance manufacturers to sue jurisdictions that banned natural gas hookups, claiming these regulations constituted illegal taking of their business interests. Trade associations, representing thousands of small manufacturers, filed a class action lawsuit, seeking $42 billion in collective damages from California, New York, and Massachusetts. These aren't symbolic lawsuits designed to make political points. Black market flourished. Product bans didn't eliminate demand. They created thriving underground markets that nobody in government wants to acknowledge existed. Federal investigators discovered that illegal incandescent bulb smuggling from Mexico became a $50 million annual business after the phase-out began. The foie gras black market in California generated an estimated $23 million annually during the ban's enforcement. Rainwater collection equipment became contraband in restrictive states, but residents simply ordered components separately to avoid detection. Suppliers reported selling large water tanks labeled for decorative purposes that mysteriously showed up in configurations identical to rainwater harvesting systems. Plastic bag prohibition created an interstate smuggling network where entrepreneurs bought bags legally in neighboring states and resold them at premium prices to businesses in banned states. The profit margins reached 300% because desperate retailers needed bags regardless of legal status. Law enforcement largely ignored these violations because prosecuting grandmothers for hoarding light bulbs or restaurants for serving banned foods created terrible public relations. International humiliation exposed. Foreign governments and international organizations used America's product ban regime as evidence of regulatory dysfunction and authoritarian overreach. The European Union's Regulatory Affairs Committee published a 200-page report in 2022, documenting how American state-level product prohibitions exceeded restrictions in actual authoritarian countries. China's state media ran regular segments mocking California's straw bans and Texas's light bulb regulations as examples of American governmental chaos. Canadian trade officials privately complained that complying with contradictory U.S. state product requirements cost their exporters over $2 billion annually in unnecessary compliance expenses. Japanese manufacturers testified that navigating U.S. state product regulations was more complex than selling in the entire European Union combined. The Supreme Court ruling wasn't just about domestic constitutional law, suppressed technology innovation. Product prohibitions didn't just restrict existing items, they killed entire innovation sectors before they could develop. Small-scale desalination technology for residential use never commercialized in coastal states because water collection regulations made home systems legally problematic. Entrepreneurs who developed these systems testified they abandoned American markets entirely and sold their technology to Middle Eastern countries instead. Advanced gas appliance technology, featuring 98% efficiency and near-zero emissions, never reached American consumers because cities were banning gas hookups entirely. biodegradable plastic alternatives that actually worked remained undeveloped because the regulatory assumption was that all single-use plastics were evil, regardless of their environmental impact or technological sophistication. Home food preservation technologies, including advanced fermentation systems and specialized curing equipment, never entered markets where food product regulations created liability risks that manufacturers refused to accept. Medical exemption scandal. Product bans contained exemption processes for medical necessity, but obtaining these exemptions exposed grotesque regulatory dysfunction and inequality. Disabled individuals in California who required plastic straws due to medical conditions had to submit notarized physician documentation, undergo state agency review, and wait up to 90 days for approval. Many gave up and simply violated the regulations rather than navigate the bureaucratic nightmare. Rural residents in Oregon who needed rainwater collection for kidney dialysis equipment faced similar obstacles. Natural gas appliance bans created medical disasters for people with electromagnetic hypersensitivity who couldn't tolerate electric fields from all-electric homes. State budget crisis. The Supreme Court ruling creates immediate fiscal catastrophes for states that built massive regulatory bureaucracies around product enforcement. California employs over 3,000 full-time staff whose entire job function involves enforcing product prohibitions that are now constitutionally questionable. Their salaries, benefits, and operating expenses total approximately $600 million annually, with no obvious alternative purpose for these workers. New York's Environmental Enforcement Division, dedicated to product compliance, faces complete elimination, affecting 2,200 employees and $470 million in annual budget. States also face massive refund obligations for fines and penalties collected from product ban violations. Political earthquake reshapes. The Supreme Court ruling on product bans became an instant campaign issue that's realigning political coalitions in unexpected ways. Working-class voters in traditionally democratic states are furious about product regulations that increase their living costs, while wealthy residents easily avoided restrictions. Republican candidates in swing states are running advertisements featuring homeowners installing rainwater collection systems and buying previously banned products while celebrating their freedom. This Supreme Court ruling isn't the end of the fight for product freedom. It's the opening battle in a war that will define American consumer rights for the next generation. Share this video immediately with everyone in your contact list, because regulatory agencies are already plotting their comeback. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss our next investigation into the secret meetings where bureaucrats are planning to resurrect these bans under new names. Comment below, telling us which returning product you're most excited about and whether your state officials are embracing or fighting consumer freedom.